Hello everyone, welcome back to Jacqs Scraps. Thank you for joining me today. I am Jackie. As you know, I previously shared this stationery box in one of many card sets and tutorials, and I had a request to create a tutorial just for this particular item. I didn't do that in the last video that I shared where I made this. So I thought that's what we would do today, is create our own stationery box. Because there's a lot of steps in creating this, I actually made a stationery box project sheet. I denote that the design is by Mimi Jocelyn. At least that's where I saw the design. There might be more out there, I don't know. And what I've done then is I've broken it down to box construction. So we have the component and the cutting instructions. And then on the next page, you will have the decorating the box, you'll have the component and the piece that you need to cut in decorative or pattern paper, and the number so that you can cover this. So let's say the lid on the outside, the top. This is the top. You need 1 2 by 6. On the short ends, you need 2 by 1 7/8, and then on the long sides, you need 2 1 7/8 by 5 7/8. So that's how clear the matting measurements are. And then down below, you have a section for the notepad, tags, cards, and envelopes, and this will give you the size of those things. So it says note paper, and it will give you all the information you need there. I see when it printed it was kind of strange. So I'll be creating a PDF of this. I even included the example that I created, and I will have this link down below for you. I thought that would be very helpful, as there is a lot of components to it, but it's really quite simple to put together. And just another quick note, the project sheet mainly tells you the cutting guide, the measurements for the pattern paper and the cutting guide for that. It does not, and the cards and the envelopes, it does not tell you how to actually construct everything. The box construction just gives you the measurements of the pieces that you will need to construct the box. Okay, so for actual construction, you'll need to follow along with the tutorial that I'm about to show you, and I'm sure after you do that one time, it'll be easier the second time around, because it's really quite easy to put together and kind of fun. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew the difference. So the first thing we're going to do is prepare all of the pieces to form the stationery box. This will be the base construction of the box. For this project, I am using Craft Light from Doris. I got this at Pat Catan's before they went out of business. And then I'm also using Coordinations Solid Die Core Crafty Paper. This is 65 pound, but I'm not quite sure the weight of the 12 by 12. So you'll take your 12 by 12 cardstock and you will cut that down to 10 by 12. So the rest of these will be cut out on 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and this first piece will be the box lid, and it is 6 1/8 by 10 1/8. The divider page will be 4.5 by 8.5. The note card pocket page will be 2.5 by 5.5. The tag pocket page will be 2.5 by 4.5. The stamp pocket page will be 2 by 3. And then the notepad cover page will be 4 by 9.5. This is the part that I changed from Mimi's original design. Next, we're going to be doing all the scoring for the pieces that we just cut out. So let's start with our 10 by 12 cardstock. When we use any of these pieces, we will always start with the long side at the top of the scoreboard. So the first score marks we are going to make are 5 and 7. We will rotate to the left, and we will always rotate to the left when we do any of our scoring. And now we will score at 2 and 8. The next thing we will do is create 2 score lines, and we're going to go to the first across or landscape score line, which is at the 5-inch mark. So what we'll do is score 3/4 inch just down to the first score line at 5. Okay, so 3/4 all the way down to the first score line. Our next one will be at 9 1/4 down to the first score line. Okay? Okay, our next piece is our box lid page, and we are going to score with the long side at the top. We're going to score at 2 and 8 and 1/8. Rotate our paper to the left and score at 2 and 4 and 1/8. For our divider page, we are going to score at 1 1/4 and 7 1/4. Rotate our paper and score at 3. Next, we will take our note card pocket page. I'm calling all of these pages, and we're going to score at 4 1/2 and 5. We will rotate our paper to the left, and we're not just doing it once, we're going to do it twice, like 180 degrees. And we're going to score at 4 1/2 and 5 again. Now we're going to rotate to the left one more time, and we're going to score at 2. Next, we're going to do the tag pocket page, and we're going to score at 3 1/2 and 4. We're going to again rotate 180 degrees, so that's 2 turns, and score at 3 1/2 and 4 again. Now we're going to rotate one more time to the left and score at 2. Next is our stamp pocket, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 2 1/2. We're going to rotate it, and we're going to score at 1 1/2. Our last page is for the notepad, and we're going to score at 4 1/8, 4 1/4, 8 3/8, 8 1/2. We're going to rotate our paper to the left and score at 1/8. And then score at 1/4. Rotate our paper 108 degrees to the left. Again, that's 2 turns. And we're going to repeat. Score at 1/8. And 1/4. So in the end, the paper will look like this. Okay. So that is all of the scoring that we will need to do for this project for the base part of the stationery box. Okay, the next steps that we're going to do are burnishing and cutting where it might be needed. So this is our 10 by 12 page, and at the top I have the 4 lines and only 2 at the bottom. It actually looks like this. I scaled this down a little bit. This is the same design that we just created with our score marks. We're going to score on all the blue lines, which is basically everything. And then we're going to come back in and cut, 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 cut. And then we'll come back in and we can cut little slivers on the little flaps that we cut out, okay? So that's what it will look like once we get it cut. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start with our burnishing first. Sometimes it's easier to burnish and then cut. If you prefer to cut and then burnish, you could do that as well. I'm going to try this one by burnishing first, and I'll see which one I like better. Doing it this way kind of just helps with seeing the lines. So actually for these two, I will wait. So the ones, these two here, I'm going to wait and burnish those after I make the cuts. Okay? So here we go. We have our 4 lines on this side. Okay. And we're going to cut up this line here. As straight as we possibly can. I'm not a very straight cutter, I've learned. Okay, so then we have it, and it looks like this. So what we're going to do on this piece is angle just a little bit from this point to the corner and cut across. Okay, so we just cut out this sliver. And it looks like that. Let's repeat that over here. And so now it looks like that. So now we can actually burnish this piece. Now let's go over here and repeat. And there we have it. So let's burnish this piece. And so this is actually the main base of the stationery box, so that's all ready to go. Now we're going to work on the lid, and again I made a little diagram example. We're going to score on all the lines that we have scored, and then we'll come back in and cut. But this time we're going to cut outward instead of inward. Remember before that's what we did, this time outward on both of these. Okay? So this time I think I'll try to just cut first. So on your score line, you would cut up to the first line, and then you would actually come on this side to do your angled cut. Okay? Last time we went in on this side. So we will repeat that. And it will look something like that. Okay, let's repeat that over here. And so that's all of the cutting for this one. And then now we'll just burnish. Actually, I agree it is a little easier to see the lines when you've already burnished first compared to doing it after. And so there's the lid. The next thing we'll be working on is the divider page. Again, I created just a little template to share with you. We will burnish on all of the lines that we created, and we will do our cutting here, and then we will angle on the outside like we just did. Okay? So this time I will burnish first. Again, it doesn't matter, whatever your preference is. And I'm going to use my smaller scissors, I think, for this. So we'll just cut straight up and then go in at an angle on the outside. And it will look like that. And there's our divider page. Next, we're going to do the note card pocket. And again, we'll burnish on all the lines. This one's a little different. We're going to cut this last box out, and we're going to cut here and then angle again on the outside. So the same over here. I probably should have put my little scribbles. These boxes get cut out. We cut up here and do an angle cut on the outside. Okay. So let's do some burnishing. You almost don't need a bone folder because these are so small. Okay, so we're going to cut this first square out up to the first score line here. Cut that out. And then for the next box, what we're going to do, trim it first, we're going to cut straight across up to the first score line here and then angle cut. Like that. And if you need to see it again, I will repeat on this side. Cut up to the first score line and cut over to get this box out. and then cut straight up, and then do an angle cut. So see, when we do our template, that's what it looks like. Now for the next piece is the tag pocket, and we're going to do the same type of cutting as we did with the note card pocket. So the same cuts. There's two little small squares. We'll cut the outer one off and then angled and cut the one on the inside. Just like this, okay? I'll leave that down there. I'm going to go ahead and just cut. So that was just like that. So the next piece is the stamp pocket. And what we're going to do here is actually cut out the boxes here on each end. And we're going to actually angle cut. I guess I didn't. We're kind of doing the same thing, but we only have one box. I didn't make a template for this. I just realized I must have got distracted. So here's the line. We're going to cut at the angle here up to the score line. We're going to turn it, cut to the angle from here to where we just cut at the top. Okay? So it comes out like that. And we'll do the same over here. Just cut in at an angle, and it looks like that. And then now you can do your burnishing or however order you did it. So for the notepad cover and pocket, what we're going to do, we'll start down here where we just have the two score lines on one side and on the other. The one with the additional score lines going across will be at the top. We're going to go in on the second score line, the innermost score line right here. And we're going to cut from here all the way down to the first score line at the bottom. So it's actually the third score line because you're going to pass this one, 1, 2, 3, and stop, okay? Now you could certainly use your cutting device if you wanted to. Okay, stop at the first score mark there. And then on the side where the first score mark is here, we're going to cut across that. So we're actually cutting out this piece, okay? I'm going to lay it down here so you can see. So we're cutting this out here. So now that I'm thinking about it, we need to cut down to, to the second score mark here. So it's actually the fourth score line. Yes. Yep, that makes sense. To me anyways. Because see, what we're going to do is fold this in. And it will, make the little pocket. Itty bitty little pocket to hold the paper. Okay. Let me straighten this up a little bit. There we go. So let's repeat on this side. So So we have the 2 score marks over here. We're going to go past these 2 in the middle and cut up to the very last score line and over. Okay, here we go. Hope this makes sense. If we mess it up, we'll do it again. Okay, cut through to the second score line there. And then come over here and cut. Yeah. So in the end, this is what it looks like. And then do all your score marks and burnishing. Using 1/8 of an inch is really little. Sometimes hard to get it straight. So this is the part that's different about her design. She doesn't create the pocket. It's actually just kind of a note flap. So when I did it the first time, I already had it all done. You know, it looked like this. And I decided I wanted a pocket. So using the same type of cutout that we did for the stamp and the note card pockets, I created this, you know. So it was something just like this, a little similar. And then I added that on here and wrapped it around the back side to get my pocket. It worked out fine, but I did think it made it a little bit bulky. So that's why I tried to get you a design that would make it less bulky on the bottom. It will be tricky to get the 1/8 of an inch all lined up and glued. But you know what? That's what we do, right? That's what we do. So then it will look like that. Okay, hope that made sense. Let's move on. Okay, now that we have all of that done, what we're going to do is start adding our pattern paper to the base pages, and we're going to also construct the stationery box along the way. I thought that might be the easiest thing to do. So this is our 10 by 12 page, and I'm going to show you now what it will look like once we get it all together. So what we're going to do first is glue these 2 flaps down. What this does is adds some strength to the construction. You could cut them off, but it just helps it with the stability. So I definitely recommend using a heavyweight type of cardstock for the base pages. Where we have the 2 full sides, this will be the front of the box. These that have the small flap and then the larger one, this will become the back of the box. These are going to get glued down, and then it will stand straight up. So we can go ahead and glue these down. Again, this is just to help with the stability of the box. Okay, so this will get folded in. This will be the back of the box, as I mentioned. This will fold up over it and be the front. So this is the front flap. This is the box base. Trying to explain it as we go along so you can follow along with the guide as well. Okay? Okay, now that we have the flaps all glued down, we're going to cut our pattern paper for the box base. I'm using Say Freeze by Recollections. This is a paper pad I think I picked up last year. Thought that would be great for this project. So I'm going to tell you the measurements, where to place it, and then I will do my gluing and any inking if I decide to do it off camera. Okay? If you are putting any type of pattern paper that is directional, you need to make sure that you're putting it in this direction, okay? Because remember, this will get folded up. Okay, for the pattern paper on the outside of this box, what you will need for this flap portion, 2 1 7/8 by 4 7/8. You will need one piece for the center at 4 7/8 by 5 7/8. And it will look like this. Again, remember, this is the front. This will be the front of the box. Now I have this piece cut out as well. I want to add this later, so I'll put that to the side. So if we want to decorate the back of the box, we can flip this around so that it's going in the right direction, in case you have directional paper. And you will need 2 pieces that are 1 1/8 by 4 7/8. And they will go right there. You will then need one centerpiece that is 4 7/8 by 5 7/8, and it will go there. So this is a good example to show you that when you have directional paper, they will be opposite each other. You see how this is going this way, this is going a mirrored way. Okay, I hope that helps. Can't get it all on the screen there. There we go. So you can go ahead and ink these up if you want and adhere them. It gives you about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Okay. Now if you want, you could add a piece on the base of this. I actually didn't for the bottom, but I do for the inside. So on the outside I didn't. Okay, but again, you can if you want to. If you do, it is 1 7/8 by 5 7/8. And that will be on the project sheet as well. Okay, so this is the inside of the base box. Let's work down here. Again, this is the base flap that comes up or comes down. So your direction needs to be in this way as well. You will need 2 pieces that are 1 7/8 by 4 7/8. You will need one piece that is 4 7/8 by 5 7/8. And that's how that will look. On the center, remember I just gave you these measurements, 1 7/8, 5 7/8 for the base bottom. Yeah, I don't think it matters. It's going to get, you're pretty much not going to see this, but I do like to, again, add it for stability. On the back side, you will need one piece for the center that is 4 7/8 by 5 7/8. For the flaps, you will also need 2 pieces that are 1 1/8 by 4 7/8. Now with these flaps, I have a little bit of direction on these. We're not going to adhere these right away, so you can save these two and we will glue them on later, okay? So when you adhere, get ready and adhere your pattern paper. This is what it would look like. We're saving these. Okay, now we're going to work on the divider piece, and what we should do first is adhere our decorative paper. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm using Fabri-Tac to add the big decorative pieces, and then probably art glitter glue for any securing of flaps and such. So make sure you just center that. Again, the best you can. It's handmade, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so now that we have the decorative paper on the top, what we're going to do is add some glue to the little flap here. We're going to take this flap, put it under the back flap, and square that off. When you have it squared, go ahead and use your bone folder to burnish. Next, we're going to bring our base back to the table here, and we're going to add adhesive to the bottom side of this pocket. We will then adhere it to the center, and we're going to glue it down right beneath the score line there. So where this folds, that score line, put it right below it. Okay? Now remember, the back part of the box will have these shorter flaps. Where the score line is, where it folds up, you will put this right under that score line. You want to give it enough room to fold up, because what we're going to do next is glue these flaps to the side of this box, like that. Okay, now the pocket itself may be a smidge wider than this piece here, and if so, it's okay. Just center it onto that piece right there, the center piece, and then make sure it's all even and it's below the score line, just checking, and then burnish. I hope that makes sense. You're creating the first pocket. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Now we're going to add adhesive here. I need new glue. Fold this up and line these two up, and then burnish. Make sure you get them straight there. So that's what it will look like. And let's do the same thing on the other side. Fold this up, square it off, and use your bone folder again. I don't know how else to show you, but I'm pushing it down in there like that on the table. And it will look like this when you're done. It's coming together. So exciting. Okay, now we're going to work on the two pockets, the tag pocket and note card pocket. The first thing we want to do is adhere our decorative paper. Okay, now that these are done, we're going to work on these little flaps again, just like kind of what we just did. I'm going to use our glitter glue here. So what we're going to do is bend this back, the whole flap, bend this little one down, and square off and push this one down on top of it. You'll probably have to hold it a little bit for it to adhere with liquid adhesive. But it's important to make sure that the corners are squared. So we'll use our bone folder and burnish. And we'll repeat that over here. Add some glue, push it down and underneath the bottom flap and square that off. Oh, that was much easier. Okay, and then give it a burnish. So there you have your note card pocket, and we'll do the same for this tag pocket. Just remember to square it off, press and hold it for a moment to grab it, and burnish. Okay, now we have both of our pockets. With our pockets done, the next thing we're going to do is adhere the two pockets together. The tag one is on the left and the note card one is on the right. Now you can certainly change those if you like, but I kind of liked it this way myself. So we'll add some liquid adhesive to the side. And now we'll take these two and put them together, line them up. Sometimes it's best to do it with them both flat on the surface. And you could try to burnish it a little bit. And it will look like that. Okay, now we'll bring our box base back into the picture. And what we will do is go ahead and add adhesive to these flaps as well as the bottom flap. And then we will place it in front of this pocket and center it again. But this time we're going to center it between the pocket that's already there. Okay? And you will put it as closely to this as possible. And when you do that, it will leave a little lip there, so it won't cover it completely. Okay, so now we will go ahead and add here glue to the little flaps. Now we will take this, center it within the back pocket and put it down here flat. Tuck the flaps in. Make sure it's adhered there and flat back. Again, you will have a little bit of a lip there. It's okay. And then go in and burnish. Make sure that the sides are squared up. And that this is squared as well. Just trying to burnish the bottom of the box onto the base. Okay, so this is what it looks like once we get all of the pockets adhered. So now on to the next part. Okay, now we're going to work on the stamp pocket, and we're going to adhere our pattern paper. Once we have the pattern paper on, we'll turn this over, add a little bit of adhesive here on the corner, and adhere these down. Just make sure you don't get any on the center part, because this will be a little pocket. Like that. Now we'll decorate the notepad. So let's start with the little piece that creates the pocket. This piece here. We'll go ahead and adhere that. So this will get flipped up and down, but right now we'll decorate the front side of it right here. So let's figure out which direction we want this to go. So we'll bring the base back out, and we will adhere these two pieces down. For the notepad, we want to take the little flap and add adhesive and we're going to take that and fold it back and kind of square that up as well. Now because that's so small, you're going to probably have to help it a little bit. Using the bone folder really helps a lot. So once it's squared up, then just burnish it a little bit. And it will look like that. Hope you can see it. So let's do that for the other side. It's easier once you get one side done. And give it a little burnish. So now we're going to adhere this to the base. When I did this one, I put it on the right-hand side and put the stamp on the left-hand side. You can certainly do it however you like. On this one, I thought I would change it up a bit and put it back onto the left-hand side. So when we adhere this, we're going to go up near the fold. You don't want to go too far in or over the fold because then you won't be able to close it. So if you go right up to it, maybe a little bit of 1/8 of an inch back, when you close it, it will line up perfectly. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some adhesive. Wanted to show you how this one's placed. See? It's really just a little bit. Make sure that's all lined up there. And then you can burnish it. So now when we close this, see? Perfect. And it also leaves us enough room to add a pen loop. So let's go ahead and add some adhesive to this. And you can certainly place this wherever you like. I kind of like the idea of them being more symmetrical rather than up here. I like it right there. So now that we have all the components on the base of the stationery box, we want to go back and add our flap pieces that we were holding off on adding. So remember, if you have any pattern, that they're all going in the right direction for you. So just slip this down into the box and center it on the flap. And what I usually try to do is align the paper so that at the same height. Then you can use your bone folder to burnish. And put in the second one here. And again, bring the paper up to match the other height of the back piece. And it's best to lay it on its side to burnish. So there you have it. Those are all the components of the stationery box. I will next go through the tutorial on how I make the paper pad to add to here, but you could leave it blank if you wanted. And if you also wanted to, you could add additional decorative pieces to the side. I think I might do that. But this is the construction per Mimi, minus my little modifications. Okay, now I'm going to kind of go through the steps to create our paper pad that goes in our little notepad pocket. We're going to take an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. We're going to cut 3 strips at 3 inches wide. I have 2 sheets of paper here. So you'll end up with this amount extra. So now we're going to take all of the strips that we created, line it up to 4 inches and cut. And repeat. So you're really only wasting this much of the paper. So when you do that with 4 pieces of paper, you end up with 24 sheets of individual papers to create our little paper pad. Now, one of the things that I did that I liked was actually took a piece of cardstock that was heavier and I cut it at 3 by 4. And I put that on the back of the paper pad. It just added a little bit of stability for when you pull it in and out of the pocket. So the next thing that we'll do is take our papers, kind of, get them all together even, and we'll put some binder clips on the bottom here. And next we'll take our glue and run it across the top and then kind of go back over it. Some people use hot glue for this part. I don't. I've done it before, but I kind of actually like this better. Make sure you get any that kind of goes down below the paper there. and just do enough to where it coats everything. And you can do this once, let it dry, and do it again if you like, and let it dry. But it will glue all the pieces of paper together and create a little pad. Now we're going to construct the lid for the stationery box. To do that, we're going to add our decorative paper. For the short side, you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 1 7/8 by 2. For the center, you'll need 1 piece at 2 by 6. And then you'll need 2 pieces for the long sides at 1 7/8 by 5 7/8. 1 7/8 by 5 7/8. So you can go ahead and adhere all of those pieces. Okay, now that our decorative paper is down, what we're going to do is add some glue to one of these flaps that we didn't cover. We're going to take the opposite flap and adhere those together, creating again like a box, so square it off. And it will look like that. And then burnish. And then we're going to put some more adhesive here and glue the top down. Again, ensuring that we have squared it off. There we go. And burnish. Great, now we'll repeat that on this side. And there we have our lid constructed. And it will go right over top. Voila. Okay, so now our paper pad is all together and dried at the top. You'll see a really translucent line of glue there. And then our cardstock is on the back side. So what we're going to do is take that and we'll put that in our little pocket. When you close the box, the lid will flap up. So what I have done is used some Velcro that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. This is the 3/8 inch circles. I like the smaller and thinner fasteners. And we can add this to the pad, and it will keep this lid shut. There. So it's not that obtrusive. Right there is the dot, and the one up here. Now if you wanted to, you could use a marker and color this, you know, like a brown color. Use our distress photo, make it a little bit darker instead of stark white, and then it blends in a little bit more. So that finishes off the notepad pocket. Now what I've also done is add a decorative piece to the corner, and I'll show you how I did that over here. What's interesting about this is that I added a piece of acetate beneath the decorative foiling so that you could tuck something else up in there if you wanted. Like for your cards, you could put little sentiments up here and store them for later. So then you could make your card base but not put the sentiment on it, and then you'd be able to choose when the time was right which sentiment you needed. So that turned out really cute. What I used was this DCWB foil cardstock. I got this at Tuesday Morning, and I used the green color. And then I used the clear plastic that I picked up from Tuesday Morning as well. So I cut this image out of my Cricut. And then I also used a shape in Cricut Design Space of a triangle and matched it up with the actual corner piece. So I'm going to glue these two together. And when you do that, you want to just use like the minimal amount of glue, like little dots, so it doesn't get all over. But you kind of want to make sure you get all the right spots so it will stay on there. And we'll take our acetate, line these up, and then pat it down so that they're adhered together. Now the triangle didn't cover all of the cutout, but that's okay, I don't mind. If I made it any bigger, it was going to look funny, and I didn't want that. Because what I'm going to do is, I don't know if you can see, I don't know if this helps, but there is some acetate here that we really don't need. So I'm going to kind of cut that out and cut this corner down. I like the idea of it just following the curves. Okay, so now let's use some glue to adhere this to our box. And again, we're going to use, minimal glue here. And I'm just doing it on the corners. So there you go. Now if you'll notice, I did adhere it to where the decorative paper was and not on the craft. I think that just still lends to framing the inside. And then you have another little pocket over here. Now the reason why I put them that way is because when you fold this up, nothing will fall out. And not that it would, it's on there pretty good. If you put them here, you have the chance of things falling out. Okay, so the next thing is the pen loop. So what I'm using is some decorative stretch trim that I got from Hobby Lobby. This is the cream color. This is 3/4 inch wide, and I cut about 1.5 inches in length. I didn't do it any larger because the pen I'm using is kind of small, and this will also stretch to other pen sizes. So you can use paper. She shows you how to make a pen loop out of paper, but she's using 3/4 by 2 inches, and that just seems extremely big to me. So we are going to use this 3/4 inch by 1.5. What we're going to do is glue our ends together. And then we'll take the glue, add it to the back, and then press it down onto the stationery box. My glue, I'm telling you. All right, I think I want it about there. Use your bone folder. So make sure the ends are together when you press this down. When you do it, it doesn't seem like it's going to be strong enough to hold it, but it actually is. I was really surprised on my other one. I've got some extra glue here. All right, let's get this in there. So then when your pen goes in, It'll fit right there. I also want to mention that, but I went ahead and did it again to add more stability to the project, and I will have the size of these in the guide, the project sheet, in case you want to do the same. And also I wanted to mention that when we put this together, we put the decorative piece down first and then the pockets on. If you wanted to cover the pockets, you know, these little flaps back here, you would have to take this piece and cut it in half here to match the size of your two pockets. You would adhere your pocket first and then take your decorative piece and put it over it to cover the little flaps. I don't mind the flaps showing personally. I kind of like that it brings out the craft color. But it's kind of what we did here. We saved these decorative pieces to the end and then added them. So I just wanted to mention that. Another way of doing this divider decorative piece. You could hold off adding it till you got your pockets on, and then make sure you cut it to match the full size of the pocket, and then put it in and cover up the flaps. I hope that makes sense. It would be like adding a decorative piece afterward to cover the flap like that. So you would need two separate pieces. Again, I don't mind it showing. Okay, so that is everything down here. If you want to add labels to this, you can right here, or stamps. And again, you have those two little pockets. We have our pen loop all in there. And our lid is done. Now what I thought I would do is add a little bit of decoration to the front of the box. I showed you all this picture before, and so what I've done is cut this out, and I want to adhere that to the box. When I first thought about adding it, I was going to put it up on, you know, dimensional tape, but then I decided not to, because if you do pull the flap down and you want to write, I want it to be a flat surface and not have it uneven. So when I cut it out, I actually left some of the green on it. I didn't cut up to the actual images. And it actually adds some dimension to the project. You can see I've already cut his little head off. So this will go on the base flap, and then the head will go on the lid. And then I think that really ties the colors that's on the lid down into the, you know, design here. So I really liked how that turned out. In this particular case, I will be bringing the snowman all the way down to the end of the lid rather than up, so you can see the craft, because I want it to look as if it's one image. So it would be like that. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that, and I'll be right back. Okay, now that we have the snowman all adhered to the box, this is what it looks like. And here I did pull it all the way down to the edge of the lid, the box top lid, so that it would appear as if it was one image at first glance. So I'm really excited about how that turned out. Here's the back side. And let's take off our lid. And down comes our little stationery desk, if you will. We have our two corner pieces here that are little tuck spots here and here. In the little stamp area, I actually put labels. I created a background with snowflakes, printed that out on these labels, and so there's enough for the small and large envelopes. And if we wanted, we could tuck these up underneath our little side decorative pieces as well. But for now, I had them tucked away into the little stamp pocket. Our little pen fits right in our little loop holder. Here's our little notepad that comes out if we want it to come out. You can also tuck more in there. There's plenty of room. Our little Velcro. And then here at the top, I've inserted my tags, note cards and envelopes, and cards and envelopes. I didn't go through the steps to create all of these because it's really just kind of basic layering, and I thought you guys might know that already from our What a Card series. So I didn't do that, but I'll go through and show you what I've done here. So our tag size is 2 3/8 across and 3 and I think it was 9/16 if you want to be exact. It's almost 3.5. And you can make it no larger than 3.5. So here is the front. I added some Recollections trim. This is one of the new stamps that I got, or stickers that I got from Hobby Lobby recently. The mugs, love this. I think it turned out really good with that. On the back side, I did add this cute little Handmade with Love. This is a Target Dollar Spot sticker. So how I created the tag to make it a little thick was I used the decorative paper, and then I took some heavyweight cardstock that was cream color, cut that out the same size as the deco paper, and glued those together. So it made it a nice weight. Here is our next one, Believe in the Magic of Christmas. Just added this cute little tree ornament I got from Tuesday Morning last year. It's just a glitter cardstock tree. Added this element from one of the paper pad ephemeras. Here's another sticker. This is from the Target sticker set. This was actually a Dollar Tree sticker I got last year. Hobby Lobby sticker here. Added the Deck the Halls from a collection and some snowflakes. And the Noel just added this little sentiment and a puffy rosette, which I got from Hobby Lobby also. And a little tree on the other side. So I think those turned out really cute. I love that they have the same ribbon, and the other one I think I had different color ribbon. So next we'll take a look at our note cards. So again, I kind of match the note cards and envelopes, but whoever gets it can certainly use whatever they like with it. Here's the cut apart I used from the Save Freeze paper pad. I did not do anything on the inside on any of these, so. And I paired it with this cute little paper pad. This is Recollections cardstock from Michaels. I got a couple years ago. Here is our next card. All I did here was layered some glitter paper on with this cuttable. Very cute. And here's the accompanying envelope. And I did not do any decorating on the envelopes because we have the labels. Joy. Actually, this is exactly how it looked up in the cut aparts page, so I just left it like that and paired it up with this. This cute little cut apart here has glitter on it already, and then I added some glitter behind it. And it's paired up with this envelope. And the last one, we have this cute little snowman and dog. I actually just put this cut apart on just like that. I thought that was enough. A little simplicity there. So when you are putting the envelopes in, because we're using the 3 1/4 size, you have to put the envelopes on the side where the flap is here. And I've already added 1/8 of an inch score tape to all the envelopes as well. But you wouldn't put it in this way. The flap has to be on the side for it to fit into our little holder because we're using the larger size note cards. And here is our large cards. And envelopes. So here I did a couple layering from the decorative paper, These were 2 pages from there, and then this is a cut apart from the Safe Reads collection. Just did some layering there. Again, there's nothing on the inside of these, and here is the accompanying envelope. Here's our next one. This is the cut apart, and I layered it on some of the decorative paper from the collection. Here's the envelope to match. On this cut apart, I just added some glitter underneath it, and I thought it was really cute. It actually came out like a Polaroid. If you look, you know how it has the wide band up here. Looks just like a Polaroid to me. I thought about adding a snowflake here or something, but you know, I didn't. Here is the accompanying envelope. And I didn't do matchy-matchy on the envelopes this time. I thought that was, some of them match, but some of them don't. On this one, I did something a little different. I just made this band. I had this spare piece, and I happened to put this over top of it, and I loved how it had some white space, so I liked that design, something different. And here's its envelope. And the last one, I just layered on some glitter paper as well, and here's its envelope. So that's everything in the stationery box. I think it came out really well, and I think you'll really enjoy creating this. It's really quite easy once you get going. I think the time part of it is making all the tags and cards and envelopes. Otherwise, it kind of goes pretty easy. Remember all the links down below. You'll have the project sheet that will help you out in completing this task. And thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.